Welcome back, everyone, to the Rich Life Training Series powered by R.I.C.H University. Again, Dominic Caminata here, CEO of R.I.C.H University, the industry-leading training consulting group. I'm here with my good friend and mentor, Dr. InJun Chong, the CEO of Reveal Wellness and the founder of this amazing Rich Life program. The mission of this series, as you know, is to give you real actionable tools to upgrade your physical and mental performance, because how you feel drives how you live, lead, and show up in the world. In this session, we're going to be talking about something we all struggle with on some level, and this is self-sabotage. Every time we knowingly eat junk, drink to escape, or expose ourselves to toxic habits in our environment, we're chipping away at our health and our potential. So these patterns may feel normal, and they may feel like something that everybody's doing, even comforting, but over time, they break down our energy and our clarity and our ability to truly thrive. Living a rich life starts with you choosing better for yourself. It's about showing love by setting a higher standard for what you put in and around your body. Health isn't about restriction, it's about love and respect for yourself. So we're going to talk about in self-sabotage that a lot of times the biggest silent killer is your own hand. It's basically slow death by your own hand, by slowly poisoning yourself. And we're going to talk about this, and this is a very uncomfortable topic for people to hear, because a lot of times we've been brainwashed and controlled to adopt certain habits as being normal, but they are destructive habits that essentially weaken our bodies, weaken our ability to perform physically and mentally, and slowly lead into the other things that we discuss with health and wellness, such as disease or dis-ease, right? So I guess let me ask you a question, Doctor. Why do you feel like so many people fall into the pattern of self-sabotage, even when they know better? And we're all guilty of this. By the way, I don't want you to think that Dr. InJun and I are on a pedestal, eating perfect, never having a beverage, right, an alcoholic beverage. Like, we have our own issues with self-sabotage. This is why we can speak about this subject, understanding the real struggle, right? Breaking these habits is hard. But when someone knows better, right, which, again, we're not perfect, how do people fall into these patterns and they seemingly have a difficult time getting out of them?
Well, first off, there's no such thing as perfect.
Yeah, there's no such thing. Definitely not.
But it comes out of habits and convenience, because, oftentimes to make better choices, it can become an inconvenience, especially for those of you that might be in sales and you're on the road. The options for you, unless you pre-plan, they're not so healthy. They're not going to be health promoting, unfortunately. And, as you're trying to balance things out and making these choices, sometimes the alternative is not the best. So that's really what it comes down to oftentimes, is because of the habits, right? Because of the routines they've fallen into. And they're, again, oftentimes because they really, truly don't want to make the change. It's uncomfortable oftentimes.
Right. It's time to listen up, closers. Before you go any further, you need to hear this. The R.I.C.H University Sales Academy Masterclass is not just another training opportunity. This is the most in-demand, highest-rating sales training program in the history of the home improvement industry. Thousands of sales warriors just like you have gone through this life-changing program taught by our world-class head sales trainer, Daniel Coombsbury, and they are winning more and bigger because of it. If you're serious about dominating in sales, this is where you go to sharpen your edge. The best part is, it's 100% virtual and happens on the second Monday of every month, so there are absolutely zero excuses not to invest in your growth and development. Why don't you go ahead and hit the link in the description to learn more and lock in your spot and get ready to ignite the greatness within. On behalf of R.I.C.H University, yes, you are a closer, and back to the video. So the reason why we're talking about this in the relationship portion of this four-legged stool that is the rich life is because if you truly have a loving relationship with yourself, when you are engaging in these certain self-sabotaging actions, such as the stuff you're putting into your body, the stuff you're listening to, exposing yourself to, is that showing love for yourself? Are you truly showing how much you love and care about yourself based on what you're exposing yourself to physically and mentally? I heard this from a very famous mind control coach and expert, that most people have been brainwashed to using their mouths as a garbage compactor, and they've been brainwashed to essentially kill themselves with their own hand. So we're so concerned about, catching a cold or catching a flu or this imaginary boogeyman coming to get us. But little do we know that most of the harm that's done to us is done with our own hand. And one thing I challenge everyone watching this video, go around your kitchen, go into your cupboards, into your pantry, go into your refrigerator, and ask yourself the following question. Have I been brainwashed into killing myself slowly with my own hand? So when you really start opening your eyes about the stuff you have in your kitchen, the stuff you have in your refrigerator, the stuff you have at home, the stuff that you're putting into your body and your family is consuming on a daily basis, you're going to be really shocked by what you've literally spent your hard-earned money on and what your family is exposed to. And first step is being aware of what's going on. Without awareness, again, a lot of times we're just going about our day. Again, everybody's doing it, so it must be safe. Again, there's safety in what the bigger herd is thinking, saying, or doing. Everybody's eating Doritos, so what's the harm in that? Everybody's drinking beer, what's the harm in that? Everyone's drinking wine at night. All these energy drinks, whatever it is. Like, if everybody's doing it, you're subconsciously tricked. You got that 850-pound gorilla dragging you, like, okay, it's safe for me to do this. But when you really start educating yourself on what this is actually doing to your body internally, these toxins, it's really eye-opening. But this is the first step to starting to make that change, is being aware as to, first of all, what it is and what it's doing to you.
Yeah, so as an informed consumer, right? So if you know it's cause and effect, and when you have that information, then you're left to decide what's best for you. And I never tell patients that they have to do one thing or another. I just give them information, and that's my job, advising them on what these outcomes would be if they make these certain choices. Yeah. And then it doesn't come as a surprise when they're not feeling well or something develops, because nothing just happens with our health. It develops over time, one cell at a time. And so if we sabotage our body by the choices we're making, we're really compounding that effect, and we're really speeding up the aging process and really getting ourselves to that grave a lot sooner than we were designed to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me ask you, so how can awareness around what food people are eating, what they're consuming, how can this become that turning point that people need to start making that change?
Well, at that point then, like I said earlier, you can be an informed consumer. So we know exactly if we put these different things in our body, what effect that'll have on our body. So we can determine the choices we want to make, because everything has cause or effect. And if you don't know what's in these foods, which now we have more awareness of all these different dyes that have been exposed, even the cereals,
right?
What that's doing to the cells in your body, what that's doing to your health. So at that point, you can decide what you want to do, if you want to make those choices or not.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of things that some people even think are good for them that are toxic. You know, for example, like you said, the cereals people are eating and feeding their kids, they're loaded with toxic dyes and chemicals. And a lot of stuff today is loaded with heavy metals, which is crazy, and Roundup and like weed killer and antifreeze and all this crazy stuff you never imagined that would be in our food supply. But unfortunately, that's the world we live in, and hopefully that stuff starts to change. But as of right now, you really got to be on the defense here and start educating yourself on exactly what's in your food. Like, for example, people drink pasteurized stuff all the time. Well, a lot of people don't know that through pasteurization, yeah, maybe there's some stuff that kills off that could be bad, but they zap out all the nutrition out of the food. So like, what really nourishes your life and your body is extracting the life force from other food and putting it into your body. So we essentially are consumers of the force of life, right? So the more life force the food has that you're consuming, the actual more nourishing and better for you it can be. So if I'm eating nothing but dead food and toxic food and poison all the time, and at the same time I'm trying to live an optimal life, it's just going in opposing directions. There's no way you can be optimal when all I'm doing is exposing myself to dead food. And even like the water, right? If you're bathing in chlorinated and fluorinated water all the time, and you're exposing yourself to those types of chemicals and toxins, and it's soaking in through your skin, you may not know it, but you're slowly poisoning yourself. You're self-sabotaging yourself. So getting educated, okay, how can I make sure that the water I'm bathing in, the water I'm drinking, the things I'm doing are actually going to be nourishing and hydrating for me versus destroying my body? So the more you can educate yourself and talking to mentors like Dr. InJun Chong, doing your research, simply looking up the ingredients. Like ChatGPT now is a very valuable resource. You can take a picture of any ingredients label and ask ChatGPT, of these ingredients, which ones are going to be the most harmful for my body? Which ones are actually good for me, right? And I think you'll see like most of the stuff and filler and hamburger helper they put into the food supply is actually very destructive. That's why it's important to eat real food. Like, you think even if you're eating a vegetable, oh, this vegetable has to be good for me. And my mom always said I got to eat my vegetables. But now we're in a world where you got to ask yourself, is this vegetable loaded with chemicals? Or is this truly an organic vegetable that's got the real nutritional and nourishing benefits of that fruit or vegetable, right? So this is the world we live in. So if there's anything I want you to take away from this video on self-sabotage, first comes awareness that yes, you are being poisoned everywhere you look. And a lot of it is self-inflicted by the stuff you're putting in your own hand, but it's also not your fault because you weren't given the information. You were given the opportunity to be an informed consumer. And because we are pack animals, because we go along to get along, because monkey see, monkey do is the greatest motivator of all human behavior in our daily habits, when you see all this stuff advertised on TV, all these different, what did they put on? Do they ever put anything healthy on TV? No, it's always the booze, it's always the junk food, it's always the garbage, the poison, fast food. All that stuff is designed to slowly chip away at your health and wellness and weaken you. So now you get roped into the sick care system we were talking about before. It's a murder for money campaign. Unfortunately, it's a slow death by 1,000 cuts. But we're doing it to ourselves. And the good news is you don't have to. So one thing my wife and I are really striving for is becoming more self-sufficient with the food we're putting into our bodies. So we have our own homestead. So we have our own chickens, we have our own ducks, all pasture raised. We don't put any chemicals in our yard. As a matter of fact, I think most people shouldn't have grass. They should have the vegetable garden or a garden jungle where you can actually grow your own food. But know where your food comes from. Know what you're putting into your body. So I grow my own sweet corn. We got a huge garden, all these different vegetables and stuff. Again, no chemicals. And I know that when I have my chicken, it's from our pasture-raised organic chicken we raise on our own property. And then surrounding myself, we talked about community in a different video. I got a friend of mine who has his own cattle company, and that's where I get all my beef. And I know this is beef that isn't loaded with all the chemicals, all the antibiotics and all the stuff that they pump into this stuff, right? So first step is getting educated and getting aware, and now we can be proactive and make a change. But all these things tie in together. So I promise you, the more connected you are with your community, the easier it's going to be to access quality food. Are you attending your local farmers markets, for example? Getting fresh produce? Are you talking to the farmers directly about what chemicals did they spray their plants with? Are they truly organic or not? So the simple strategy is make sure you're eating real food. I don't know what you feel about this, but this is one thing that I kind of go by is if it was made by man, it's probably not good for you. If it's made by nature, it's probably good for you, right? So I guess, can you elaborate on that a little bit? You know, man-made versus nature-made?
Well, you have to look at what is that particular thing you're consuming going to provide for you. Mm-hmm. And you have to understand, when we look at calories, those are just measurements of energy. So you look at these calories, like you're saying, that are maybe these man-made foods, those calories are empty calories. They're not calories that can be used and put into production for you to have the energy that's required for your body to rebuild and repair itself. So they're, again, going back into the cell. We have to figure out what do these cells need in order for them to function correctly. What was our body intended for? What fuel source are we intended for? Just like you do in your vehicle. You know, you put in these higher performance vehicles, they put higher performance fuel in those vehicles so they can perform to their potential, right? And it's funny, I show patients all the time that people, they will spend more money in their homes and their vehicles than they will their own health.
Oh yeah.
But they trade and sell them off all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't get a new body, like you can't trade this in. Some of us like to trade it in, but you just cannot do that, right?
Deal.
So you have to figure out, over time, what are these choices accumulating to, and is that really what you want? Yeah. And that goes back to, like I said, having resources like this here to give you the real information so you're not being misconstrued or marketed to making these horrible choices. Know there's different options for you, and then seeking out these individuals in your community that have co-ops. They're looking to support you by providing you the nourishment and the nutrition that your body requires to be well.
So people may be asking themselves, why do I sabotage my own health and wellness? Why do I do this to myself? Well, it's because you've been programmed to do this to yourself. So the things that you consume on a daily basis, the media you consume. So you gotta understand that your subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between imagined thought, spoken word, or what you see on the screen. So it records it as all the same. So for example, you see a lot of killing in movies. They say the average 18-year-old kid sees 20,000 deaths on TV before they turn 18. Guess what? That kid's subconscious mind is recording those deaths as real deaths. It can't tell the difference between real, imagined, or what's on the screen. So does that sound healthy? Now take a wild guess with the two most common content or most repetitive content, mind control programming, that's in every movie. take a guess. I'm gonna quiz. What do you think is the number one most repetitive content? Think of self-sabotage. This is something people consume on a daily basis that's in every movie.
Alcohol.
That's number two. Number one is coffee. Oh, number one is coffee. We're going to talk about caffeine and coffee in another video here. But the most repetitive content, I challenge everybody not watching this, now that your eyes are open to this, because awareness is step one. Every movie you watch from now on, within the first 15 minutes, you're going to see somebody drinking coffee, going to a coffee shop, going to the Starbucks. You're going to see the coffee mug, the coffee cup, the coffee maker, coffee, 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 coffee. And by the way, in another video, we're going to dissect why that's happening. So number two, second to that is alcohol. And then third, is like dying and killing and shooting. Because obviously you talk about lowering your vibration, all this stuff, exposing yourself to constant death, it desensitizes you. So there's a reason why this repetitive content is in all these different movies, because they're trying to program you to literally kill yourself for their own profit, their own financial gain. So every time you're drinking that coffee, every time you're consuming that alcohol, because your subconscious mind assumes, because you're seeing it over and over on the screen, that that's what the bigger herd is thinking, saying you're doing. And again, it finds safety and security in the pack, in the herd. So guess what it's going to do? It's going to pull you like that 850-pound gorilla to that specific habit, that self-sabotaging behavior. That's how it works. So the things you expose yourself to make all the difference. That's why it's, again, being cognizant about what you're consuming physically, but also mentally. The stuff you're listening to, the stuff you're watching. Because ultimately, these are what program your habits. We are hackable animals as human beings. We are programmable beings. And unfortunately, the people that push out all this content know all too well how to do it successfully. And they know how to make sure that that comes around back as additional profit in their pocketbook. And meanwhile, your mouth is a garbage compactor and your health is slowly declining year after year. So this is about taking control. So now, how does one, once they're aware, start beginning to form those new habits and start taking control over their health and well-being? I guess, where would you suggest someone begins? And do you have any success stories about you personally, or someone you know that you saw they turn their life around, they stopped sabotaging themselves so much, and you saw their health and wellness improve dramatically?
Are you ready to take control of your health and start living a rich life? Then it's time for us to talk. I'm Dr. InJun Chong, CEO and the founder of Reveal Wellness. It's been my life's dedication helping sales warriors, business leaders, entrepreneurs, and high achievers just like you optimize their performance in their personal and professional lives. If you're feeling stuck and burned out and you're ready to reignite your vitality, click the link in the description and connect with me directly. Because above anything else, you deserve to live a rich life, and I can help you get there. I'm looking forward to meeting with you, and back to the video.
Yeah, so one just comes to mind. I had a consult yesterday with the patient. And as Tony Robbins always shares, people are driven by pain or pleasure. So this particular patient came in and she was seeking out stem cell therapy on her knees several years ago. And it was to educate that patient, saying, you know what, you have a lot of systemic inflammation that's exacerbating, which is increasing the pain and inflammation in her knees, for example. And the knees had some wear and tear on them from the younger years of being an athlete, but now it's exemplifying that area because it was most vulnerable, because it had been the area that had most damage. And so we challenged her and educated and supported her on making these lifestyle changes to reduce that systemic inflammation, so it would reduce the localized inflammation of the knees. And so we had that consultation, and the patient shared with me that knee pain had reduced dramatically. Nothing had changed on x-rays, so there was still a minimized joint spacing in her knees, but she didn't have the pain.
Yeah.
And so it's funny because people come in with me and saying, it's just bone on bone. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean they're having pain or symptoms. It means the periphery, or the area that's supposed to stabilize that joint complex, has been irritated or inflamed, and therefore they're having symptoms. Because again, it's just a check engine light, that's all it is. So by her changing around what she was putting in her mouth, the things that she was thinking and the activity she was doing, it minimized that inflammation globally, so it reduced that localized inflammation. So there again, she didn't have to go in to have any procedure done. And in fact, we don't even have to use stem cell on her, and that's not even an option anymore for her, or necessity for her.
Yeah, because people don't realize how much their diet impacts inflammation, all this pain and agony, and you have an acidic body. It just causes all kinds of things to start hurting, and your body starts absorbing more water and bloatiness out of self-defense, and you just feel like crap, right? Overall, just a sense of low vibrational living. And again, that's what we want to avoid. So obviously, some of these changes seem daunting, and this is the biggest thing is when you're watching this video training, you're like, I'm doing just fine on my own. I can just continue to do things the way that, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But what we're here to tell you is you don't necessarily know if it's broke or not. And I can tell you firsthand, I did some testing with Dr. InJun Chong because I consider myself a relatively healthy individual. So I'm a big weightlifter. I'm a bodybuilder. I'm doing a half marathon next month, for crying out loud. Like, I'm active, I run. But for giggles, because we're friends, he's my mentor, he's like, you got to take this test. Let's just see what's going on in there. And it turns out my hormones were all out of whack, and my cortisol levels at night were off the charts. And when I have all these stress hormones and high cortisol levels at night and it's impacting my sleep, the trickle-down impact of that could be life-threatening. I mean, this is what the check engine light is that I was literally putting the tape on, he's talking about earlier, and this is me personally. So I can tell you that there's probably check engine lights on that you don't even know, but it's first being aware that you have been brainwashed and controlled to destroy yourself. Unfortunately, I wish it wasn't this way, but we live in a world that wants you weak, because a weak person is easier to control, and a weak person is easier to basically want to reach out and ask for help. Because again, they want a weak population so they can steer it and influence in the direction they want it to go. They want an obedient population that does what they're told. So you've been brainwashed and mind controlled to weaken yourself. So they don't want a bunch of lions running around. So one thing I heard a guy say is, there's a reason why people don't own pet lions, because they're so damn powerful and so independent. You can't contain these things. They're optimal. They will kill you, right? If you try to control these things. There's a reason why people have pet sheep, though, because sheep are much easier. They're obedient. They go and do what they're told. They're not going to kill you, right? They're weak. They're cute, but they're weak, right? So that's essentially what we're turning ourselves into, is a population of sheeple, not people. And we need to be lions, because human beings are full of unlimited potential. The reason why we're doing this to ourselves and why we've been programmed to do this is because you are so damn powerful. And this is why I'm so passionate about creating this video series, because if you get anything else out of this, you just need to start realizing what you're capable of. So Rick Grosso always instilled in me, he's like, Dominic, you're twice as good as you think you are, and that's only half the truth, and that's an understatement. So that sounds funny to say it, but that's the truth. You are twice as good as you think you are, and that's only half the truth. You've been lied to. You are capable of so much more than you've been basically programmed to think. And there's some new information coming out right now that some of these more natural remedies and natural ways of healing actually help us become optimal, and that's why they've been suppressed from us for so many years, right? But start making those little choices. Again, if there's anything else, you just say, okay, when I'm putting this into my body, is this showing love for myself, love and care and gratitude? Because like Dr. InJun Chong said, we only got one body. You know, things come and go. You got all this material stuff that come and go in your life, but you get one shot to optimize your body, optimize your temple, right? So, and show love for yourself. Stop killing yourself, death by 1,000 cuts, self-sabotage with your own hand. Start opening up your eyes to the programming around you. You know, I heard somewhere that we have 5,500 solicitation attempts every day that we're exposed to. People trying to sell you 5,500 times a day on their products and services. And most of those products and services are there to harm you. So again, the fast food joints, the toxic food, the alcohol, the cigarettes, the smoking, whatever it is, drugs, alcohol, poison. So first is being aware. Now when I'm aware, I can start seeing the patterns, I can start guarding against this stuff, and you gotta get comfortable being uncomfortable, because in order to make these changes, you gotta understand that you're gonna step outside what the greater herd is thinking, saying, or doing, which is scary. It's scary to be out here on the outside edges, the wolf that's actually going to take on the predator, right? You're not in the middle of the herd, you're on the outside. And in some cases, you're separating from the herd altogether. But I promise you that loneliness outside here is only temporary, because all of a sudden now you're going to find your pack of wolves, your pack of like-minded lions just like you, and you're going to put together one powerful community that's going to slingshot you forward in your life. So really love yourself. That's why love yourself first. The best relationship you can have is with yourself. And if you're leading by example in your household, loving yourself, your family will follow suit. Start making those changes. When you're becoming optimal, that's going to inspire everyone around you and your team. So I noticed when I started bodybuilding and started transforming myself and eating better, all of a sudden my whole team started following my lead. They started meal prepping, working out more, and sales increased. You wouldn't think that all this stuff stems into greater success, better income, better performance in your profession, but it does. But the foundation of it all is your health and wellness, your relationship with yourself. And one thing we really got to stop doing is sabotaging yourself. Don't get me wrong. You can have your guilty pleasure here and there, But we're talking about daily, weekly, monthly, 365 days a year. If I'm constantly exposing myself to toxic food, these poisons over and over and over again, that's why heart disease, cancer, and all these preventable illnesses are taking this country over by storm as the leading causes of death. And what's frustrating is we know that these are preventable. We know this. It never used to be that way when we had real food and we didn't have all the poisons that were being pushed down our throat. But unfortunately now we're living in a world where you got to open up your eyes, you got to be on the defense, and you don't want to be susceptible to those negative influences all around. So what is one simple thing that people can start doing today in order to stop the self-sabotage madness and start building momentum?
One small change that you can do to help change what's going on with your body on a daily basis is increasing your water intake frequency. Most people don't drink enough water. It's a pretty basic element that we need, right? So our cells need that along with oxygen. Doing some breathing, getting that oxygen, water and oxygen. You can go out without food for up to 30 days. Water and air, that's a different story. So increasing your frequency of water intake is the most simple thing you can do just to add in. So you're not actually having to take all the negative stuff out right away. Just start adding little things in to the system that could help benefit and support your body's functioning.
Yeah, because ultimately, if I can override the bad with the good, that's a good place to start.
Easy.
So you have your pleasures, you have your cocktail on a Friday night or whatever it is. But as long as I'm putting more positive, overflowing my body with the stuff I know is good, that's a good place to start. Obviously, long-term, eventually it'd be good if you were to cut that stuff out or significantly reduce the frequency of it. But in the beginning, when you're talking about, let's just get some momentum, start focusing on overloading your body with the stuff you know is beneficial, is good, so that can override the damage that's being caused. And again, it's just over time, you're going to start craving those healthier things, and you're going to start seeing progress, you're going to start seeing success, you're going to start looking better, feeling better, people are going to start noticing it, and you're going to formulate habits that are going to be habits of success and empowerment.
Think of yourself as an athlete. So these professional athletes that I work with, they make different choices because they're needing to perform at a high level, just as you do too. So when you start to fuel your body and your cells with what they require, you will start functioning at a higher level as well. Not just physically, but mentally, because the chemicals in our brain run and regulate everything. So I encourage you to think about yourself that way. You are an athlete and you deserve to fuel your body correctly so you can perform at that highest level. Otherwise, you're not going to get the results in the life that you enjoy or that you want to enjoy, and therefore you won't experience a rich life.
Yeah, just like think of yourself as a high-performance car, right? So what type of fuel are you going to put into that vehicle to maximize its performance? So more than what the food tastes like, more than what the beverage tastes like, you got to put, first and foremost, what is it doing for you? And one more thing I just want to talk about, and we can wrap this up, but at our homestead, we have all these different supplements, these different herbs and spices, different ingredients, so to speak. And on the different, it's like a whole rack of stuff. And my wife put this together. She did an amazing job. It has, okay, here's what the herb and spice is. Here's how much you take daily. And here's what it does for you. It's a whole paragraph on what it does for your body. So if I feel like my body is lacking in a certain, type of herb or spice or nutrient, or I feel like I'm missing something, I know right there, okay, add a scoop of that to my protein shake, or take a little bit of this, take a little bit of that, put it all together into a smoothie, whatever your preference is. But it's just me getting more educated on what I'm putting into my body, first and foremost, what it's doing for me. That's paramount to just what it tastes like. Now, secondary, let's figure out a way to make it taste good so I'm not having to choke it down. And the good news is you can do both. You could have stuff that tastes amazing, stuff you absolutely love, that's also really amazing for you. Whether it's, this is going to improve my mental clarity, this is going to improve my stamina, my endurance, this is going to improve my muscle building and repair, whatever it is. Know what you're eating, get educated about your food, stop self-sabotaging yourself. Just understand it's your own hand doing it to yourself more often than not. So if you want to defend yourself, if you want to really protect yourself, it starts in the kitchen. It starts by going through your kitchen cupboards and really asking yourself, have I been tricked to poison myself in my own hand? That's step one. Then it's slowly but surely formulating some better habits. And if you're an outside salesperson, I know it's challenging, but you got to meal prep. It just is what it is. You got to prep in advance. Because if you're limited to what they have at the local gas station or convenience store or fast food joint, that's all toxic. It's all poison. I don't care what you do. I don't care even if you get vegetables there. You're probably getting vegetables that are loaded with poisons and toxins and chemicals and pesticides, right? So again, first step is awareness. So hopefully this video created some of that awareness for you. Again, be mindful of what you're watching on TV, be mindful of the content you're consuming, because that is, whether you like it or not, programming your actions and your behaviors. And a lot of it is not for your benefit, I promise you. Is to extract as much money as you can for habits that are going to weaken you over time and make you more obedient. So we definitely don't want that. We want you to be optimal. We want you to be in the top 1% and pursue a truly rich life. It's going to be uncomfortable in the beginning. You're going to have to make some changes, but we promise you that once you get to the other side, you get surrounded by your like-minded group of lions and wolves, you're going to be living a much more fulfilling life, and you're going to be able to impact many more people around you.
You know, I've heard so many times when people make this transition or this transformation, they say to me, I didn't really realize how dysfunctional my life was and my health was. And they didn't realize how sick they really were and what it felt like to truly feel vibrant, to feel out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're going to talk much more about all these topics, and we really appreciate you taking time out of your day to learn this important lesson of the Rich Life Training Series. Our hope here is that this conversation helped you see the link between your choices and your future. So you can't truly live a rich life by running on empty, beating yourself up, or ignoring what your body is telling you. So start small, start now, and start showing up for yourself like your life depends on it, because it truly does. You deserve a rich life, and from all of us here at R.I.C.H University, yes, you are a closer.